Good afternoon, and welcome to a special episode of Added Time Edition. Because my God, the last 24 hours has just blown up, I tell you. In fact, even less than 24 hours. So I'm your host, John Scott, and I thought I'll see if he's about. I'll see if the man, the legend, the Evertonian is here, and he is here. Stu Palmer, how you doing? Thanks for coming on, buddy.
How are we, John? I tell you what, as you say, just absolute mania going on in football, soccer today.
Absolutely. Hello, Lewis. Good afternoon to you. Lots of football talk coming up. So, look, I think we can start with one of the two biggest talking points going on right now, Stu. This Super League. It sounds crazy just saying it, but we spoke about it briefly last night before, of course, the stuff come out of all the clubs basically now putting pen to paper. Gary Neville called them out, said they wouldn't do it, they'd retract, but they've gone ahead. They put this statement out, Stu. We know a little bit more details. Obviously, the government, the Premier League, they're trying to be persistent in a way to stop this from happening. The so-called Big Six, which includes from the UK, England, is Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea, all in this. I mean, it's just, I don't know. What have we got ourselves into here, Stu? Let me ask you first, mate. When you heard this rumblings of this stuff happening, did you actually think this could be a potential to happen? Because we've heard about stuff like this for years.
It's just like, the common trend of it is, well, I'm hearing is, and I'm thinking the same, at the end of the day, John, how much are the tickets going to cost for this? They're going to be sky high. Nobody wants it. It's not geared to the fans. We've got the Champions League, the best club tournament in the world. Why do this? Why do this now? They've got to veto it. They have to. And as you were saying, you alluded to the government. Boris Johnson said like they don't want it. They don't want to do it, and they won't give them, the go ahead, will they? The government. So it's just crazy to me. I don't want to go to a game and be there with the prawn sandwich crew with a bottle of bubbly. Do you know what I mean? I want to go to the match.
It'd be like going to the Grand National, mate. You'll have to get a special hat.
Have a pie, a sausage roll, a beer. That's me. Just like the average working man going to the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sonny Garner there giving his thoughts. Well said. Yeah, it's pretty out there, this stuff. I mean, it really is. Let's just take some comments and questions. Hang on, I think we've got the few. I don't understand how this is all going to work. I don't think many people do. TV, are the pundits gone mad because Sky won't have? Now, that's an interesting point actually about TV, and I did raise this last night about who on earth would actually have the TV rights. Or the rumours I was hearing, Stu, is apparently the way they're going to get around to the fans is by basically skipping past any TV deal and having their own streaming platform. Similar to, I guess, us in wrestling, we've got the WWE Network. We don't pay those premium pay-per-view prices anymore. We pay a lot less. And that is a route they could possibly go. And they're talking about only charging you $5 a month. Now, that would appeal to a lot more people than at the moment, because like I said last night, if you've got the full Premier League in this country, if you live in the UK especially, I know it's sold worldwide, but it's not. Some places you can go to and it's absolutely free. But in our country, we pay premium prices. We've got Sky Sports, you've got Amazon are in on it now as well, and you've got BT Sports. So there's a lot of, if you want the full package, it's going to cost you. And I suppose, Stu, to play devil's advocate, because I want to kind of like look at both sides of the argument. And I did raise this last night with the lads, and I don't know what you think about it, but I did say that both UEFA and the FA are not completely innocent in all this as to the reasons that these clubs have gone to look elsewhere. And I only mean that by the fact that earlier in this year, in a bloody COVID pandemic or whatever, they were trying to charge us for games that the TV stations didn't want. So they were basically the most average ones out there, and then try and charge us for it at a ridiculous rate, which again I thought was completely ludicrous. But again, it's all about the money. So I know people will go, the Premier League are trying to do what's best. The other point to the UEFA Champions League, I believe it's today of all days that we're going to hear about the new, how they're going to lay that out structurally. They were going to do it today, which is why the timing is so what it is at the moment by coming out last night. But let me ask you this, Stu. One of the suggestions about the UEFA Champions League, which I found even more ridiculous as well, is the fact that they now want to have sort of more teams involved, so 36 clubs, but if you don't get it, it's going to be split up into 2 leagues almost. But if you don't make it as far towards the end, I think from 24 to I think it was down to it might be 16 to 24. They get to do a playoff to see if they can still make it into the next knockout. But to me, it's like, well, so you can finish 24th, but you can still be the European champions. And again, that makes sort of zero sense to me. I don't know if you remember the European Championships. We had the international where I think it was, instead of the top 2 that go through, it was top 3. And I think Portugal finished 3rd in their group, but ended up winning it. So it's it is a little bit of, it's marketing. At the end of the day, these people, they're not football people, they're marketing people. They want to make as much room as possible, right?
They're not bothered. They're not bothered about the fans. That is the crucial thing. You've got the players, the fans, the atmosphere. It's just purely and simply for that. It's big wigs with cash. It's multi-millionaires, billionaires involved, and it's going to wreak havoc. It's going to wreak havoc across the board. Why? I just don't understand it. It's got to be, and it looks to me like it's going to happen. As much as people are standing in the way of it, to me, it looks like it will be happening. Whatever gets said against, for and against.
Yeah, keep your comments coming. If your club is in one of the top 6, I know mine is, but we'll get to that in a minute. But let us know what you think, especially if you're supporting a team from much lower down in the leagues. I'm very interested to see what the perception is of that, quite frankly. But Mark Lloyd's got a point here. So if you win the Premier League, no access to play in the elite unless you can stake enough chips at the table, like members only club. Think about it. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, it's exactly what's happened. Now, let's talk about this European Super League, whatever it's going to be called. From what I'm hearing, Stu, all the founding clubs ain't going to get relegated. So, mate, they're in. Don't worry about the league anymore. They are in. They're going to stay there. It's very American. I don't know if you're familiar with the NBA, but the NBA, there's no relegation now.
No.
And they sell that. They sell that as a franchise, right? I mean, even NFL, and basically what you have is the rest is all made up of college football and NCAA. I mean, that's big stuff out there. But I said this again last night, making a point, is that you remember the NFL have sold some games off to do in the UK. Both Wembley and Tottenham Hotspur Stadium have got a deal running for 10 years. I can almost see them doing that with this, instead of clubs from your towns or your cities where you grew up. It's going to be they're just going to be a brand of the product. You go to a game and you might get whoever turns up and you watch it, because it's kind of I don't understand how you can keep identity with making this, going into this, entering a competition that you can't get relegated from. The other point I'm going to now ask you, Stu, what about this ridiculous notion? Now, if you're a club, you're a manager, and you play in this competition midweek, you're going to be getting, I think I've read somewhere around 300 million per game. Then you're going to go and play in the Premier League on Saturday against Burnley. You tell me, where's they're only going to be after one thing. They're going to play the reserves in the Premier League.
I'm not being funny though. I'd rather be going to Burnley than being part of that. You know what I mean? Real football club, real football town, cities. As you say, it just becomes, they'll just be known as UK, you'd follow one of our 6, wouldn't you? Probably the team that's most local. I just can't see the fans getting behind it. it's purely and simply, the money's going to be coming. They're going to be funded by whoever, and it's an abomination. I've said it.
Yeah.
It's an absolute abomination, John.
Yep. Your boy Chris, he's there. The Goodison voodoo of getting rid of mate. Yeah, absolutely there, mate. I tell you. Another good point here. Lewis Young, Rangers and Celtics should be in the Super League.
Lewis.
I mean, it's probably more appealing for them.
Maybe in the 80s and 90s when Rangers and Celtic were very strong, yeah, I could have seen it. But in more recent times, no disrespect, the money's in England, isn't it? The money's in the UK, in England. So yeah, maybe 20, 25 years ago, Rangers and Celtic might have gone for it. But the calibre, the Scottish Premier League's not what it used to be.
No, Sonny Garner. Champions League new rules are so strange. League format, elite teams and get second chance. Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm saying. I think even UEFA haven't got it quite right. I mean, I do feel that regardless of this Super Cup, they did need to change how that works because it is too commercial. They've got so many teams. I think I watched an article an old video clip of Louis van Gaal, and this was years back when he was Man United manager, and somebody asked him about the Champions League, and he said, it's not the champions of champions because you've got another 3 clubs that can qualify. Yeah. So it's not like it used to be. The old European Cup, the Nottingham Forest, Brian Clough won back-to-back. That was no 2 legs, one game. One game you got to get all the way to the finals and win it. And he done it back-to-back. That seemed a lot more difficult. But, of course, for commercial reasons, they want all the big clubs to get in it, Stu. They want them earning. So this is why it's happened. Obviously, you've got to raise the point here, Stu. FA are saying that they could threaten chucking them out and demoting them points. Is that going to be enough, or do they just turn around and go, you know what, we'll see you later then?
When they brought this up months and months ago and they were devising it and trying to come up with it, I thought, the way I perceived it, which is wrong now going off what's come out in the last couple of days, I thought they'd be coming out the Premier League. You know what I mean? I thought they'd just be coming away totally, which would be absolutely, it'd wreak havoc with attendances, number one. They're the biggest 6, they're the biggest 6. And, when teams come to Goodison, your Tottenham's, Chelsea, all them City, it's a sellout. They've got to be there. I know they're not coming out the Premier League, but it's just too much. I'd just going back to format in the Champions League. I think a knockout would be better, like the old European Cup, personally. But as you say, it's revenue, it's the amount of games, it's broadcasting and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, but it's sickening. It's sickening what's come out. It's gonna ruin football. It's gonna ruin it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, this whole thing about the FA are gonna threaten them. My thinking is, and I don't know what you think about this, but surely those clubs are just going to turn around and go, all right, chuck us out. But then aren't the Premier League going to be in a bit of trouble and bother with the likes of Sky TV and BT when it comes to renewing that package? Because, unfortunately, those clubs, Man United and Liverpool especially, worldwide support is through them. You can go to places, the most deprived places around the world. I've seen it. And you'll see kids out there who can't afford nothing, but they'll get like a shirt of Man United is on. They're wearing it. I mean, that's how the reach and level of commitment it goes to supporting these clubs. And I got a feeling that they're just going to turn around and call their bluff. I really do. I think they'll say, okay, chuck us out. Because I think the Premier League will end up then suffering, trying to go ahead. They'd have to fill another 6 spots. So what you're going to do, bring up more teams from the Championship. It's a very, very difficult situation for the FA to act on this one. Another point that Sonny raised last night was about international football, Stu. But I mean, let me be frank with you. Does international football carry the same level of weight that it used to for a player?
I know we have to play other countries from out of Europe and stuff like that in a friendly capacity. Mm-hmm. And I know, I do away with friendlies. If they're going to do, they do this Nations League, don't they, alongside the qualifiers. Yep. I'm actually fine with that. And as I've said on the last international break, Wales, England, they all played 3 games that week. Why didn't they just play 2 qualifiers? And why don't they just play the internationals in the off period, or if they did have a winter break, I'm not for a winter break. I just think this stop-start mentality where you've got to play, you've got to play internationals in September normally, haven't you? We have another one. Is it October, November time? And then we don't have anything then normally till the March, do we, on the calendar for international? But I think just play them all at once. Just get all them games out the way. Because look at injuries and stuff like that. The way the game's played these days, and then you end up losing players. Players get injured in it. I just don't agree. I don't agree with them. I think do away with friendlies, but some people might not agree with that, John.
No. Well, your man Carnage Payne, he believes you, mate. Stu is spot on. There you go. You know your stuff, Stu. Now, I've got to ask Stu, you've been an Everton fan and you're not a part of this so-called top six, whatever, that they're calling it. How does that make you feel as an Everton fan that a team this season, you're in that area of possibly qualifying for a Champions League, somewhere you haven't been all the time, but you look how well you've done this season. How does that now make you feel? Well, okay, if we get there, surely the point is to try and earn and gain getting in these competitions. I remember being a Spurs fan. We'd never been in the Champions League never. I mean, I dreamed about it, and good old Harry, he pulled the socks up.
He did.
Got the win against Man City when he needed to, and we were there. And it was such a big deal. I remember going down at White Hart Lane. It was the most amazing atmosphere I'd ever seen. But, we earned it. I mean, it took from the 90s of hell all the way through seeing my club being terrible most weeks. But it made it that much more rewarding to finally get in it and, compete. And I mean, only a couple of years ago, we was in the finals. But to now just sort of, right, okay, you now just get a claim. You're in it regardless. I mean, what's the point? What is the point? Exactly.
Chris brought up a valid point earlier to me. We're having this new stadium built, but he turned around and said, if you're not playing them at peak because they're going to go full throttle for this Super League thing, aren't they? What sort of teams are the 6 English clubs gonna put out in the Premier League matches? And I think it'll be detrimental to our attendances. I could see what he was saying. I took Chris's point on that, but I'd love to get in the Champions League. I love it. We came close in 2005. We got screwed by Kalina actually, but as you say, look at Tottenham with the big nights. Inter Milan. I remember Inter Milan when you played them, but obviously at the San Siro. It's a fantastic tournament. It's a fantastic tournament, John. It's the best. It's the best club tournament by a mile. So,
I mean, I totally agree. And that history comes back from the old European Cup. It's been, hundreds of years we're talking about here. So, it's a very big, shocking move. It's almost like the clubs have said, we're going to run ourselves. I believe I was looking at the format of how that would work. It was Perez at the top, then the 3 American owners coming in after that, of Liverpool, Man United. And it's just like, so they're just going to manage themselves. They're going to make sure they're all right. But everyone else, I mean, I did read that they could give up 5 spots every season. So whatever that means, you get an entry if you want to go for it. Do you think as well that, and we always say this, Stu, money talks, that if you're, say what happened a couple of years ago, Leicester, shocking, they win the league, dream come true, nobody could believe it, crazy odds at the start, right? They win it. Now, obviously, they're a team that are not established like your Man United and Liverpool. And then someone like this Super League comes along and says, right, because you've won it, we're going to give you like practically $1 billion and you can come and play in this. I would find it very difficult for any club to say no. That's the problem that we're at. That's the problem we face, I think, because if you're a Leicester, you might think, well, hang on, I don't know how many times we're going to get a crack at this. Our squad might have just been good for a season. Unless we invest again, I'm not sure. Or if we want a stadium afterwards, etc., etc. So do you think ultimately that regardless of whatever we think or the FA try and do, money will talk?
it's like anything in life. It's like anything in life. You start wafting millions and billions at somebody. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? But they're going to out corporate how corporate the Premier League's gone. Definitely. I never thought I'd be saying that.
Yeah.
Everyone harps on about the Premier League. Oh, it's this, it's corrupt and all this, but it's just the mind boggles with it. I think it's disgusting that they've actually put their cards on the table. These clubs, I really do. It's bad. It's bad, and I really do worry that it's going to get passed, and it will be a formality, John.
Well, that would be. I mean, they're talking 2022, and obviously in that time, what they would have to do. I mean, if they just decide, right, we're going with it, and all the rest of it, then the FA have got to work around the schedule of the bloody games. I don't know what happens to the League Cup. I don't know what happens to the FA Cup. I mean, that's probably not even going to be a thing, because how much does the FA Cup? Well, if these clubs are just after money, what does the FA Cup give you? In their eyes, what does Stan Kroenke think back in America of the FA Cup?
Everyone says about the FA Cup though, John. It's lost its luster over the years. I still like it. I still love the tournament, And yeah, it's gonna have a knock-on effect. I didn't actually think about that. There's gonna be too much going on, and it will be an afterthought. Your domestic cup competitions, 100%. Then you're not pulling in the money that you're pulling, from the league, and most certainly with this Super League, John.
Yeah. So, it's a very uneasy time. Obviously, my club, Tottenham, being involved in this, I don't feel good about it at all. I kind of feel in the last 15, 20 years, and, I was a season ticket holder for a long time. But I kind of feel like instead of being treated like a fan, we're treated more like customers. And it's gone that way for a long time. It's more about the product. I said this last night, that you think how WWE markets, it's almost in the same realm. We buy WrestleMania a year in advance without knowing the main event. It's the brands that we're buying, and I kind of feel like this is what they're trying to do with this. They're trying to get people to buy the brand more than anything else. And
just
they just,
it's just like even down to the little things, which would be a big thing in terms of merchandise. Are they going to wear like a special kit for the Super League?
Oh, mate, I can imagine.
Do you imagine? Yeah. And it wouldn't surprise me, like you say, where it's all uniform, everyone has the same make. So, like in the NBA at the moment, Nike have got the deal, right? It would not surprise me. Yeah. I know they've gone to Venom. They've gone to Venom now from Reebok. But yeah, it's just too manufactured. Pardon the pun. Yeah. Pardon the pun there. Yeah. And that is the way it'll go. They'll have a different shirt sponsor, but the kit manufacturer, it would not surprise me. It would not. It'd all be the same.
They'll charge you another £100 for a top.
Easy done. Easy done. That is, John. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, there's so many factors to think underneath.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm even thinking about, mate, imagine video games. They're going to sell them separate because they won't have FIFA. They won't have that backing. They'll do their own thing there. I mean, for them, they're just going to make even more money on top of what they've already got, in my opinion. That's the potential, because they don't have to answer for maybe these TV stations and all the rest of it. And these people saying, oh, don't worry, the broadcasters won't jump ship. Mate, they will. Trust me. Some of them ain't doing anything now. They'll do it all right. They'll find somebody. Somebody will do it.
Some of that chingle.
It's all right. Chris ain't too bothered. FIFA's shite anyway.
we played Pro Evo. We played Pro Evo for years, John. I switched over from Pro Evo 4 properly. We were playing Pro Evo for years. FIFA was on the back burner. Pro Evo was the best. Pro Evolution was the best game. Sorry, I'm digressing.
No, I mean, maybe they'll get a better deal with this new one. Maybe they'll get the licensing in there.
Do you know what?
That'll be the next thing.
Another thing that's popped up in my head. I know we've seen a lot of sport going into the Far East. This is what will happen. There'll be more and more games played over there. Saudi Arabia,
they'll sell them games. That's what they'll do. They'll sell them.
It's astronomical what they can make off the oil rich tycoons. You can just see.
I mean,
see it a mile.
You look at what happened in WWE with the shows they were running out there in Saudi Arabia. I mean, those shows, I was reading, they made more money from them than they did a WrestleMania. That's insane, absolutely insane. And you see why they do it. So yeah, they'll probably end up selling games here, there, and everywhere, around the world. I think the other fact I just want to end on before we move on, Stu, is the fact that I know people said they could threaten the players and all the rest of it, but let's not forget the players have got a contract. So I don't know how they get out of that ultimately, because I'm pretty sure there wouldn't be anything in there with FA regards, like you're a part of them. So I'm not sure where they stand with that. But what I will say is those players, mate, I mean, when you see, and I mentioned this again last night, Manchester City, we remember where they were at one time. Then the guy comes in, that first batch of players, Adebayor, Toure, Robinho, all for the money. They didn't have the Champions League. They weren't going for footballing reasons. They were going for money. If they can do it, these guys can do it. And also, you look at what happened in China a couple of years ago.
Absolutely
terrible league, absolutely awful league. But even someone like Oscar, who was like, I think 25 at the time, they weren't just old players. They were just getting paid a fortune.
He was integral. He was integral to Chelsea, Oscar, when he was there. I remember. I mean, he was a hell of a player. And then they're like, "Oh, we'll pay you, 400 grand a week, 500 grand a week, whatever it was. Maybe a bit less. Maybe I'm being a bit, dramatic there." And you're thinking, why have you gone there? You're like one of Chelsea's top players on your day. Money talks. I hate using that age-old adage, but that is.
No, you're right, mate.
That is it. And everyone says about modern football. I still like modern football. Don't get me wrong. I can see why people moan about it, but it's the same in all sports. People say the NFL's changed. You can't make the tackles that you used to make. It's a lot more softer. But with this is just going to take it into another stratosphere of it's just the mind boggles where it'll be.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we're going to come back straight after this little break with more breaking news that happened this morning, a little bit closer to my team. Jose Mourinho sacked by Tottenham. Lots of rumours and innuendos going on about that, Stu, as to the reasons, but we'll get into that next, straight after this.
I like that.
There you go.
I like that. That's good, that.
Bit of powered for .tv. Yes, we are a wrestling streaming platform, but we cover all sorts of things, including MMA and boxing, which is going to be back tonight, Stu. Give us a little preview of what's coming up there, buddy.
We've got UFC 261, which we will be previewing 3 title fights. So I know Chris is chomping at the bit. We are going to cover Jake Paul and Ben Askren, because I know Brett, one of our consistent viewers, he'll be asking. So Brett, if you are around now watching this, we will be covering that. And I've just knocked this out me thing. But yeah, and also Demetrius Andrade beating Liam Williams. It was a good fight though. Liam Williams did well, to be fair. So yeah, that's what we're covering later on this evening.
Nice, very nice. We'll stick around for that. I'm sure Brett will be happy with the polls all in the news the last 2 weeks. Don't forget powered4.tv. Go and sign up now. Home to over 25 wrestling promotions. And we have a lot of other stuff, including Stu's Wrestling Podcast. Go over, check that out. It's got some latest interviews that have been dropping. You're not going to want to miss it. Always good things there. Just quickly before we move on, Stu, Carnage Pain. Stu, If you was the FA, what would you do to stop it? There you go, mate. All over to you.
Just put an injunction in on the end of there, and just that's well, yeah. I don't know. It depends, but it depends if the FA get a backhander for it. You don't know, do you? We know how corrupt FIFA was over the years, and it all came out in the wash.
Exactly.
History will repeat itself. People don't learn. There'll be a backhander or something. There'll be a softener to keep the FA sweet, John.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so the other breaking news in the last 24 hours is Spurs sacking Jose Mourinho after not that long, really. When you think about it, obviously, most people will look back to the Amazon Prime documentary, which was in itself quite a revealing thing. How much of that was covered up and sort of, nurtured over, I don't know. But all or nothing, I can tell you the end result before it even started. But nonetheless, it was a fascinating thing. I almost felt like it was the Jose show for a long time there. So, yeah, very odd. What do you make of it? I want to ask you first, Stu, as an outsider. Jose Mourinho being sacked. The timing of it is just odd for me.
You know, perception, obviously, because it's your club. Everyone's like this, aren't they? When you get asked yourself, you know, you're watching week in, week out. I know you do. You know, you're a season ticket holder and all that. I feel with him, I feel the game's moved on and his tactics haven't. What was working for him 15, 18 years ago, because he was at Porto around that time. I just feel he doesn't seem to deviate tactically. I don't know if you see it like, as I say, it's not always that, your own perception is reality, but how do you feel on that one? Do you think that's got anything to do with it?
I think when he first come in, he brought a lot of, he had that momentum and the players could see, there's somebody that's won. I mean, this is the first club he's managed and hasn't won anything. So, and we're 60 days out from a cup final. So it's like, that's an odd decision in itself.
It is.
Daniel Levy's come out of a statement, kind of as you'd expect, saying he enjoyed the time with him and the relationship was fine and he was a total professional, thanking him for all that he'd done during the COVID time, which I know Jose, he wasn't one of those people that sat indoors. He was out there. He was in and around the stadium helping the NHS do all those things and do deliveries around. So that was kudos to him. But I think in terms of his on-the-field antics, managing, and the Amazon Prime show certainly showed it, is when he first came in, you remember that whole dynamic between him and Dele Alli, where it's almost like he wanted him to do better. I thought, he was going to sort him out. I know he was after him at Man United. I know Fergie told him to sign him there as well, he mentioned. He put a lot of eggs in one basket with Eric Dyer for some insane reason and never seemed to want to shift from that. And Harry Kane, at the start of that show as well, he kind of said, well, I'm Jose Mourinho and I think I can give you that little extra that he was after. Obviously, they haven't delivered in trophies. I think that's the only reason, Stu, for me, they brought someone like Jose Mourinho in was to win trophies. The style of football is the thing that Tottenham have lost the most, in my opinion. Above all the results, it's just that style, the identity. And, you don't want someone coming in your club that just totally goes against it. However, I do think there was a small minority of Spurs fans that at this point, after God knows how many years without winning a trophy, would have been like, do you know what? If we win it messy, we win it messy. We just want a trophy. But obviously that hasn't happened either. So you've been sitting there kind of watching this terrible football and no payoff at all. It's okay if you're getting the results, but he weren't getting them in the end. And I think the magic of Jose Mourinho is, I'm not sure it'll ever come back, to be quite honest with you. I really don't. I thought Tottenham, the structure and setup that we had, I thought it was going to be made for him because he loves that striker at the top, like a Drogba, a Diego Costa. But you got Harry Kane. I thought, he'll know exactly what to do there and he'll just build around him. But it's been a little bit of a strange time. The whole Gareth Bale thing as well. I don't know what the hell happened there. 1 minute he was happy, he was there, then he never plays him. It's so strange in itself. And you know, we're the thing that shocks me the most, Stu, is the fact that I have done it 6 days now. There are reports leaking out that apparently he refused to go out on the training pitch this morning until he got an answer from Daniel Levy over this whole Super Cup business. Now, the thing is it the timing that is making people put 2 and 2 together? We don't know the full details yet. I'm sure we will do at some point, but at this point, it's just speculation. And the other point might be that Tottenham board, knowing the way they operate sometimes, and I saw this back when Daniel Levy first come in, there was George Graham was in charge. What does he do to get on the fan side? He brings back Glenn Hoddle. He's like, that'll do. That'll be a winner. I got a feeling because of this Super Cup business announcement, they've gone, right, they're not happy with Jose. Let's just get him out. That'll deflect some of the attention. And I wouldn't be surprised if they go out for some sort of fan favourite manager who might not be the ideal person, but just to sort of suit the fans. I was reading this morning just now, Jürgen Klinsmann's name's been mentioned quite a bit. So that's the sort of one that I would sort of raise my eyebrows at what the intentions are.
At the end of the day, though, who's he really managed? He's managed international level, hasn't he? You know, he's done a bit with Germany, done a bit with the USA. I'm trying to think in club teams.
Well, he had he was the main thing he was instrumental with the whole German thing was that he was the one that dropped a lot of the old guard, and you'll remember he brought through Neuer and you know that whole team that lasted forever. Yeah, I mean, he went to the USA, but the USA, you got to think. I mean, he did very well considering USA. They don't look at football, soccer the way we do, and he managed to get them to the World Cup, and they were quite decent. But I think overall, club football, I'd be slightly worried what he can bring to the table. But then again, you look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I mean, he was managing Mulder, so you know he got relegated
and Cardiff.
Exactly. So
prior to that, and it was like, is he actually any good? You know, and then
sometimes managers and clubs match so well that it doesn't matter what the background was like. If they work in tandem, it's fantastic. But I'm not too sure about that. Obviously, the guy from RB Leipzig, he's the guy that they've been seemed to approach ages and ages ago now. Again, I can't see them.
He's got along. That might be a factor that they look like, right, we've got to get this right. He's very young. He'll be here for a number of years, all being well. But there again, you see, he's only been at Leipzig. You know, they've got a bit of a monopoly, haven't they? I should imagine. Not maybe as much as Bayern and Dortmund, but they have got. There is money there, and obviously the branding. But sorry, John, I jumped in.
No, you're spot on. You're spot on, mate. And it's good to hear you say it because, like you say, sometimes you can get caught up in your own bubble. What I will say is Daniel Levy's track record of managers have been very hit and miss. You know, we mentioned a couple of them there. Glenn Hoddle, totally down the drain. You know, it was completely the wrong time. We've had the likes of Jacques Santini, if anyone remembers him. He was manager of France. He lasted 6 months. Martin Jol was his assistant at the time, and he got the job. And that was a time where who's the fella? My goodness, I can't think of his name now. He was a director of football. He ended up going to Chelsea. Can't think of his name. He's the guy that brought Ronaldo over into football. But in any case, we had that director of football business going on. You know, he made a great appointment with Harry Redknapp. I'm sure he didn't expect Redknapp to have gone on and done the things he did. Then, of course, poor old Harry gets the chop, even though he finished 4th because Chelsea won the Champions League that season, which meant he went, and he brings in AVB, which was just dreadful, guy to bring in. I mean,
he's at Marseille. He's at Marseille now. That's where he is. But that didn't work out. Young manager. It was a young manager again, wasn't it? They're probably thinking, right, he'll be here. Ideally, we'll have him here for a number of years.
There he is. Chris has come up with a good. Frank Arneson,
yes.
Well done.
Well done, Chris.
He's the man,
That's not like me to not know. No, you've trumped me. You've trumped me there, Chris. Fair play.
Well done, Chris, as well.
Diego Simeone, John. Eric Ten Hag from Ajax. He's not gonna. He's managed them in the Champions League. I know they got to like the semis, didn't they, against you guys?
Mm-hmm.
He's not gonna cut it. I could be wrong. I've been wrong about what's his face at Chelsea. It's gone. Tuchel.
Yeah.
And I said on Added Time months ago, he ain't gonna cut it, and he's actually done. He's done relatively well, hasn't he? I think they've only lost once or twice since he took over. Brendan Rodgers, he's not going to leave.
He's the one I would want. He would be my choice.
Do you think he'll leave Leicester with where he is, or do you think it'll be money talks and he would come to you guys?
It wouldn't be during the season, so this is why they'll probably
hold off.
They've done it. Yeah, I mean, but it's unlike Daniel Levy not to have already thought ahead. So that would be a strange one to try and gamble it and try and get him off Leicester, because then Leicester will raise their prices crazy to stop that from happening. But then again, with 4 billion coming to your club, money might not be an object. But yeah, I mean, Brendan Rodgers selfishly would be my pick because
he knows the league. He knows the league inside out.
The style of football that we want as well. It goes back to Swansea. You look at what he was doing now, the same stuff. I know he had that go at Liverpool, didn't work out that well, but
I tell you what,
guys can come back, mate.
He nearly won in the league. If they hadn't drawn to Palace in that game at Selhurst Park, and then Gerrard had slipped over, Marco Silva, you definitely don't want him. No disrespect to Marco, but he was like, it's a fish in a big pond when you go to a certain club, and it just didn't fit. But what about Allegri? Because Allegri, he was at Juve for years. He did 5 years at Juve. He did 4 years at AC Milan. He was at Cagliari before that. But there again, is he going to cut it in the Prem? It's all well and good doing it in Serie A. I don't know, John. You seem to think Rodgers, don't you? Would be the best suited.
I think he'd be the best suited for us, but I think the timing is just all wrong. I mean, we should have got him last time. Obviously, Daniel Levy made a great acquisition in Pochettino at the time, and many people were raising eyebrows when he come in. They were like, yeah, he's done it at Southampton, but what can he do at Tottenham? But he built a very steady base for us, going forward.
I liked him.
If there was one thing that he couldn't quite get, that was a trophy. But I mean, Champions League final, I mean, you don't get there for nothing. And I think as well, you've got to remember, Pochettino managed Tottenham when we didn't have a stadium. We was at Wembley for a couple of seasons. So he was quite big in that transition. We could have been really slumping around that time. And he was getting us the Champions League. He didn't have loads of money chucked at him. So you've got to think what he done. So I think it needs a manager like a Brendan Rodgers who can build some sort of vision and foundation. But does he want to leave Leicester? Because what he's got at Leicester is going very well. I think he'd have to look at what his long-term vision is. And also, maybe he looks at Tottenham as we do and thinks, I don't fancy that. You know what I mean? Like,
the thing is,
you've got to work with Daniel Levy.
You've got one of the best strikers in world football, and I know there was talk of him going, Kane. What do you think? What do you think could happen? It's going to be a certain manager. Was it just a news story about him going? Possibly Harry Kane.
Yeah. I mean, stuff been coming out. I think because of his age now as well. It's that time where if he's going to get the move. The thing is, though, Tottenham still have got a big old contract on him, so it's going to cost a club a lot of money, whoever's going to do it, and there are only a certain amount. Now, Paris Saint-Germain would be one of those clubs, and obviously Pochettino being there, I think if he said to them at this moment, the position he's in at Paris, they'd probably give him the money to do it, because if Mbappe is going to leave, that'll free up a lot of funds anyway. And, he knows Harry Kane. Harry Kane knows Pochettino. They had a very good relationship. That's probably the only club I could imagine with the funds to do it, because Real Madrid and Barcelona, from what I'm hearing, they ain't got the money. They will have. They will have with this thing, but they ain't got the money now. Yeah,
I think we'll, Diego Simeone as well, go to him. Atletico been doing well this year. I know Real Madrid and Barca have caught him up.
He's an amazing manager. Yeah.
So would they be able to prize him away from Atletico Madrid? That was one name I looked at on the list and thought I think he'd be fantastic for you if they could get him.
Yeah, well, they could be in this competition, so they probably won't, because they'll be full up with money to the gills. It'll be a manager who's not in this top six that they can get. That's the thing, and that's why I feel for Leicester, because selfishly I want Brendan Rodgers, but it's almost like you could just take him.
One out of left field here, John.
Go on, mate.
Right?
Go on.
Here's one that I think would be good, very good. Rafa Benitez.
Yeah,
I know he's not won any. I know he hasn't won anything, in UK English domestic terms for a while. But even when he was at Newcastle, he was hamstrung at Newcastle. Didn't have any funds. I think
Rafa work with Mike Ashley. He can work with anyone.
He'd be my dark horse. I don't think his name's come up, but he's the sort of guy knows the league inside out and backwards, and he gets the best out of the place.
I think he's the sort of manager Tottenham would look to on the short term to get us through this season. I mean, I know they've put Ryan Mason in charge of the team. He's taking first team training at the minute. Whether he takes us into the finals as the manager, we're not sure. But obviously, in terms of people in the background, last time we put Tim Sherwood in charge, you'll remember, for 6-7 months. And to his credit, he did bring in through Harry Kane, of all people. So that's one thing to his name. But there isn't anybody at the club that you'd say they're going to be the next manager. Ryan Mason, he's managing, of course, the under-19s and all the rest of it. And he's doing a great job. But I think it would be way too soon to put that on him right now. But I wouldn't rule out a short-term fix, possibly. There is Ledley King. He was brought into the coaching staff as well. But
shout. But I think he's been
around.
Not
sure if. Yeah, he's been at the club for yonks. I'll tell you who's a guy, Stu, who I always thought never, ever, he never got considered, no matter how long he was there for, was Chris Hughton. Chris Hughton was at Tottenham as a head coach, assistant, for all these wacky managers that we brought in. And he never got the chance.
He's never had the rub of the green, though, has he, afterwards? Like, do you know what I mean? He was up at Newcastle, he had Brighton. Who's he in charge of now? Is he at Forest? I think Chris Hughton's at Forest, I'm sure.
He was always hard working, loved by the fans very much.
I rate him. I rate the guy. I think it's quite sad no one's ever really looked after him at Premier League level. I think he's underrated. Sorry, John. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I was going to say someone else who's just come to me mind is Scotty Parker. There was a lot of talk about him in the future as well.
He is into the future, absolutely. I think. Look what he's done at Fulham. They've hardly spent anything. And I know they've dropped off a bit in more recent times, but they looked like they were going to get out the relegation at one point. I think with limited resources, I know we've spoken about him before. I think Scotty Parker's a dark horse. I think it's a big job. It's a big job that he'll be looking for. Eventually, I'm sure.
So if you was putting money on anything right now, Stu, who would you say for the long term?
The trendy signing, and I know he's the front runner, is Julian Nagelsmann. I think if you're to believe the bookies odds and stuff like that, I would say out of that list after that, Rodgers. I don't think Rodgers. I think, as you said, I think the time would have been to do it before Jose came in. It's like Ten Hag. I don't think Ten Hag's got enough experience. Fantastic in the Champions League. I know, they do quite well. And then I'd say maybe Allegri after that. Diego Simeone. As you say, there's a few dark horses, but I think the one that it will probably be Nagelsmann. Yeah,
well, he's the odds-on favourite. He's been favourite for ages, even since Jose's been there. So
he's got to get it. He's got to get it right, though, John.
But that's the thing.
He's got to hit the ground running. Otherwise, in another 2 seasons, he'll be out on his ear. So he's got to get it working. Definitely into next season when if it is that he's in, he's got to hit the ground running. Surely.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Interesting times. Obviously, overall, I think I'll look back at Jose Mourinho's appointment as a one that went completely wrong. Obviously, the intention was there. They gambled because they thought this bloke never goes to a club and not wins anything. But I tell you, he come out of a statement. I think it was last week's game, and he said, "Well, it's the same Jose, different squad." And I thought from that moment there was something not quite right between him and the players.
Why is Eric Dyer playing centre back as well? I can't for the life of me. And then, like you say, Gareth Bale. He's still a Rolls Royce. I know he's a bit older now, but just some of his selections. But I mean, it's you know the club. It's your club, so
yeah.
Bielsa.
That's come out of left field. You know what? I mean, Bielsa, I love the football he plays. Yeah, I love the mentality.
You can concede 3 or 4 in the same measure. But, you don't know from one game to the next. Sorry.
I was going to say, it's totally the opposite from Jose Mourinho.
It'd be exciting.
From one extreme
it would
to
be
the other.
Exciting. It would be exciting, John, definitely. But I don't know. It's just, he's a mixed bag. And some weeks they're fantastic. And
I mean, I love Bielsa as an outsider. They always... like my second club almost as they come up. Yeah.
He's a character by a long stretch.
Yeah. And obviously people like Pep and all that, they really rate him 100%. He never changes his philosophy for nobody, which you've got to give that to him. And, he flies under the what we got here from Chris. Bo Martinez. We're just getting some old Deadwood here from Everton there, I'll
tell you what.
Where is he now?
He's manager of Belgium, which he's got the players, but I think he's done decent. They're number 1 in the world. I know that point system with FIFA is a bit weird, because they've not won one of the big tournaments. But we played good football under him, but some people didn't like him. I think we should have stuck with him for a bit longer. Koeman was awful. Koeman was awful, but he was hampered. He was hampered by them signings, John.
Yeah, someone's just texted me, Big Sam.
How much did he get paid off this time from West Brom?
Exactly.
We paid him 6 million, I think it was. Chris will probably remember. So he gets payouts.
Yeah, that's what Jose gets as well. I mean, he's made an absolute fortune.
He said
being sacked.
Chris has said Sean Dyche as well.
Yeah. Do you know what, Sean Dyche? I mean, it would be hypocritical of me to say not Sean Dyche, because I'm always a proponent of why does he never get a rumour of going to one of these big clubs? If he was a foreign manager, he probably would. He'd probably get that step up more, but it's that trend, like you say, it's that trendiness to go for that manager abroad. And Sean Dyche, it's just a marketable thing. It's like, it's Sean Dyche, big burly voice. Do we want that here at Tottenham? And I think that's the problem.
It'd be bold. Sometimes you can be over bold, too bold with it, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. But Dyche, no one's seen Dyche with some money, with players like your squad. You got look at the players you'd be working with. I think it's a good shout. It's a good shout as another dark horse.
Yeah,
but
we will certainly see where that ends up. I'm sure a lot more will come out in the next 24 hours. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me, given what happened with Pochettino last time, that somebody comes in and we see them announced later on or something with a load of money bags next to him, smiling next to Daniel Levy again. So we'll see. The one thing I am a little bit concerned about, obviously 6 days away before our finals. I'm not sure what that says. I'm just going to end on this point, Stu. Do you think there's a little bit of I don't know, I know Daniel Levy's come out with his statement, everything was all right and all the rest of it, but to not let him play that finals, it's almost like if he could have let Jose have that, without doing this sudden move and disrupting everything.
At the end,
is that a little bit of spite? You know what I mean?
He's got pedigree in cup competitions. Yeah. Whether you're in bad form or not, a final, anything can happen in a final, can't it? And I think he would have been your best chance of winning the thing. Definitely he's got previous job.
Yeah, and it could come down to, has Jose just got the ump because of this whole Super Cup business, and he wanted answers like was being reported. So that's another part of this that we don't know about yet.
So he should, he's the club, he's the manager of the club. He needs to be in the loop with what's going on behind the scenes.
Jose Mourinho, let's not forget, he's UEFA Champions League. He's won that. He loves that competition. So to him, it's almost like you're discrediting everything because you're going to have this. The history will be no more almost. That's what they're aiming for. And I think even a Jose Mourinho, as ruthless as he is sometimes, I still think he'd want to earn getting there as opposed to, here you go. Finish 15th. It don't matter anyway. You'll be in it next season. I'm pretty sure he'd want to still earn the right to play in it, in my opinion. But there you go. What we got here? Chris is back on.
That's not
I
true.
don't know what that was from.
I don't know which bit he meant, but
no, that might come up earlier. But in any case, maybe he's talking about Jose and me not wanting to get in it or whatever. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. Just reading the news here, Stu, more stuff from Boris Johnson. Apparently he's coming out a bit later to talk about it. So it's obviously made the huge headlines with him in the government, If
the PM's coming out about it, so I just hope it gets vetoed. I hope it gets vetoed for the sake of the game. We're the paying customers. We fund it to a certain extent, don't we? And then obviously all the broadcast companies. But yeah, it's just hopefully, I hope to God they don't pass it. I really, really do. I know I'm going back to what I said earlier, but
no, you're right.
Detrimental.
I do as well. Lastly, I just want to end up on a I just want to end up. So the 12 clubs that have basically put their hand into this, they do not, and I should reiterate this, they do not feature Bayern Munich at this time. They don't feature Paris Saint-Germain. Now, Bayern Munich, they make a very good lot of money just by doing what they do in Germany, which is basically the old Man United trick. Buy all the best players from your league. Don't worry about bringing in superstars abroad, because if you want to dominate your own league, you buy the best players from it. And they've certainly always done that with Dortmund, whether you like it or not. But their structure, it seems absolutely sound. I mean, even their youth policy is second to none. So it's kind of nice to see a big club like Bayern, if they have turned around and said, you know what, we're sticking to our principles. That goes a long way for me.
Also, I remember reading an article about German football, Henry Winter in 442 years ago.
Right.
And I know it's come up before, I'm sure you're aware of it. Their pricing for the games are so much cheaper than here in Germany. Yeah. It's so much more, cost effective for the fans, which, we pay through the nose. I think their tickets are like half the price, Yeah,
no, they are. I've got a friend that lives in Germany, and he supports Bayern, and they are dirt cheap.
It was like the centerpiece of the article for that month's issue years ago, and it was good. Henry Winter, brilliant sports, football journalist, but they'd never put our ticket prices down.
No, they only go up, and especially if you're a London club as well.
Oh my days,
it's insane
Arsenal,
at this point.
Arsenal,
so interesting. I think Arsenal's is the most expensive. My friend pays anyway, which is crazy. But there you go. So yeah, they haven't put their name to it as of yet. Whether that will change, I don't know. But it's mainly between the UK, England, Spain, and Italy. Italy, of course, throwing Juventus, Inter Milan, and AC Milan. So again, you got clubs there like Roma, who I know very distinctly well with their history. Lazio is another club. Fiorentina, big clubs there that aren't going to be involved in this unless they get invited, basically, which is. I mean, I don't know what it does to anyone. If you think about Spain's league, Stu, you take those three clubs out of it, what they got left? I mean, ours is going to be bad, but not as bad as that, blimey.
Sevilla. Who else is up there at the moment? Bilbao, I don't think they're that high up, are they? You've got, what's it called? Monreal. Sociedad. United played them recently. You know what I mean? Other than that, I don't really know. It's
because they're obviously looking at 20 clubs going in this. They've got 12, but I mean, obviously they're going to have to poach another high-profile club.
Cherry pick from the very,
which is tough. So maybe Celtic will get a pass with the money side of it. You never know, or Rangers or whatever. But yeah, I'm sure there are other clubs out there, and I'm sure Paris and Monaco or whatever, they'll all be invited at some point to the show. Lastly, Stu, I'm going to play devil's advocate with you. You're the Everton chairman. You see Everton, they get through to the Champions League, and then there is no Champions League, but you get offered God knows how much money. They're talking, what, 3 or 4 billion that these clubs are getting at the moment. But they offer you that with the stadium coming up and everything else. Do you just go yes, or do you decline? As a business, with your business hat on, what do you do here?
If you had principles, you'd turn it down. But if they're quoting billions, how could a chairman turn it down, John? It's just
this is the big the big issue. How you say no to it,
rightly or wrongly. It's we don't. The fans don't want it, but yeah, if you're a club chairman and they propose it to you and they've got it all down there in writing in front of you, and this is what you'll get, and it's going to be too hard to turn down.
Yeah,
Usmanov.
Well,
yeah. Usmanov there, he sponsors our training ground. He's one of Mashiri's right hand men. So,
well, the thing is, you'd think Man City have got more than enough money, but even they want more. So it is greed at the end of the day, mate. I tell you,
it's an abashed greed, is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you very much, Mr. Palmer, for coming on and taking time out of your day, because I know you're on late, and also gives us a time. Happy birthday to Stu Palmer for tomorrow. Little birdie told me it is the birthday coming up, you see. Make sure we got that one in.
Thank you to you and Rich for everything as well. Thank you.
No worries, my friend.
We appreciate everything, honest to God. All the lads I know, Sonny, all the time you invest with us, alongside doing your own stuff. No, thank you, and thank you for the birthday message for tomorrow.
No worries, you see.
That was lovely, mate. Look after
no worries. Always a privilege to have you guys with us. And don't forget, guys, check out Stu, who will be back later with Chris for Big Fight Weekly. Loads of stuff to come up with, including the pools will be mentioned. So don't worry, they'll be in there. We should get a sponsorship with those guys. I tell you, these YouTubers, mate.
We're gonna have to find out. We're gonna have to find out how we can do it. The Super League of podcasting. The Super League of podcasting. The next one.
That's what will be next, buddy. But no, thank you as always. Thank you for everybody that's joined in. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and check out powered4.tv. I've been John Scott. He's been Stu Palmer. We'll see you next time.
There's one man with potentially a better winning record than Cara Noir. What? He's cashing in. Cara Noir does not look happy, does not look comfortable right now. For the first time in his title reign, I think Cara Noir feels like he is facing a legitimate threat right now. Sammy Smooth is ready for this.
Very ready. He's encouraging him to ring the bell. And there is the bell.
Cara Noir looks... TJ, I don't think I've ever seen Cara Noir look this uncomfortable in the ring before. Oh! He refused to say he was ready to... Oh, yeah, now he's ready.
Now he's ready.